Okay, we got a no cooling call here at a house that we did a change out. Actually, we did a double change out on it. And the guy has described enough of it for me to know exactly what's going on. I mean, I am 99.999% sure what's going on here. So let's go over here and look. Okay, so what we have is two new train systems, and both of these have 824 thermostats. So what happens with the 824s, when you have a shorted relay or bad contact or whatever, what will happen is the thermostat will just reset every time it calls for it and every time it hits the short. It won't blow the fuse in the furnace. So that's a neat little thing. It sees the short so quick that it just resets the thermostat. I believe this smaller one here goes to the top. So I believe this is the one we're gonna find the bad contactor on. Okay, so the reason I really believe I know what's going on here is when he had it in the cool mode and it would go for the call for cooling, it would reset immediately. So we turned it off and tried the fan, and the fan worked. We let it reboot and get back up, and the fan worked fine. Then we tried the heat, and the heat worked fine. So anytime we went for a call for cool, it would start resetting the thermostat. That's why I don't need to get in. He's on the golf course today, so he's not here. It's Sunday, about 1:30, 1 o'clock, 1:30. I came straight over here from church. And I'm going to bet the farm that this is the problem. So let's get in here. Should be that one. Yep. All right, so normally when there's a disconnect and you don't know what somebody's done behind the cover in the disconnect, you don't trust just pulling the disconnect out. And you of course worry that there could still be power on it. But this one has a breaker outside, so we can be pretty doggone sure that there's not going to still be power on it. So I know there's no call from in the house, so this is not hot, the low voltage. So we don't really have to worry about letting it touch anything. So I'm gonna just kind of tuck those wires over there out of our way. So we can see contactor. Okay. Now, pretty easy swap, but I tell you, I'm really disappointed in Trane that they let their bean counters or whatever it is that's causing them to build a really good quality machine and put cheap contactors, cheap relays, and cheap capacitors. I just wish they wouldn't do it, but bean counters. I guess it would cost them another $7 per unit to put good parts in here or something like that. I mean, it wouldn't be much. All right, let's go to ohms on our meter. And let's just see what this coil reads on this contact relay here. Yeah, she has definitely got some issues. You can see 1.1. Yeah, that's not good. So I'm going to take this jarred, this is a 40 amp. That's probably a 30 amp we're taking out, but that's fine. I'm going to take this jarred, and just for comparison, we'll go ahead and read it right quick. And you can see, yep, about 13. So that tells you right there, my suspicion was right. That's the problem, and we're going to have it fixed up here in a jiffy. The only thing about these 8-in-1s and 11-in-1s, whatever, I don't really like the 11-in-1, I like the 8-in-1, but this is kind of fat. I mean, it's handy to have 2 nut drivers, 2 different screwdrivers, couple things. Then you can open and flip out, and you got bigger nut drivers, you got your 3/8 and everything. That's handy to have, but this thing is fat, so sometimes you have to pry around in there and bend something to make it go and whatever. But other than that, the 8-in-1 is my favorite tool. So this is a real quick, easy swap. I think I've got several other videos changing contactors. I should have took those off before I took the screw out. There's the other one behind us. After years and years of doing this stuff, that no longer makes me jump, but for a good while, when the other unit would come on and I'm working on one, it would alarm me for a second. When you're working on an electrical device, whatever we want to call it, you've always got it in the back of your mind, you know, I don't want to get shocked. So hearing that thing come on kind of might jolt you for a second. All right. And as always, I'm just going to cut the loop off. Tell you, my blue ones work better than these. Forgot what these are. Wasn't a bad brand. Saw it somewhere, I thought. But I think I'm going to switch back to the Kleins. I like them a little bit better. So anyway, I'll tell you why I do this. Is I like that crimp right there. I like that factory crimp. It's a tough little connection. So rather than just strip the wires and stick the wires in this lug and tighten them down, I like tightening down on that crimp. And I crank it pretty good. So that's why I do that. I've had a couple of guys say, you know, you're too lazy to put a new connector on it or something like that. I can't remember what they said. Whatever it was pretty silly in my opinion. But that's why I cut those off and leave them on there. Because it is a tough little spot to crank the lugs down on. And you got to be careful with this outside lug. Not a lot of meat here of plastic around this thing, and you will turn that thing and crack the new contactor. So you got to kind of watch what you're doing with that. Get them in there good and tight. And these top two. Like I said, I believe I am going to go back to my little blue Kleins. They were much better. This one you have to hold some backup. You have to put it in there and then hold this up or it just bends it flat. Once you learn to use it, it works pretty good like that. But show you what I mean. See, I really like that right there. I like the way that you know, I like tightening that down on a more solid piece. I just like that little crimp a lot better than the little cheap kit you get. And you use your little, you know, crimping pliers to, and this is another one, you got to be careful. You don't want to twist that too hard and snap this plastic around it. I've noticed that pushing down on it helps, you know, pushing in some pressure in when you're tightening. But anyway, those aren't going anywhere, and all that is going to be fine. So he's out on the golf course, and I'm going to give him a call and tell him we've got this thing fixed, and to go ahead and use his Nexia and turn it on, and we're going to watch it come on before we leave it. All right, I called him, and I'm just going to listen at it, bring the low voltage in, and then I'll flip the breaker on after I've got everything out of here, buttoned up. That capacitor looks good. I'm not going to check it or fool with it while I'm here. These machines are pretty new. Yep. Just heard it. So let's put the cover back on it, and then we'll flip the breaker on and get out of here. All right, here we go. Okay, he's actually got air now. Good to go.